Arts.
Yeah. Okay, what is A? What does it stand for?
Accept.
Accept. Okay. R. A. T.
Transform.
S.
Service.
Okay. So you generally have a good idea about it? So we're gonna elaborate on everything, like all of those letters. So this week, of course, we're gonna start with A. So accept Jesus and what it means. Alright, so we're going to be in Matthew 16:21-28. So from that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you. But he turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan, you are a hindrance to me. For you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man. Then Jesus told his disciples, If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in all glory of his Father. And then he will repay each person according to what he has done. Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Alright, so it's a lot to process, but we'll break it down. Okay, so the first point is that Jesus models what it means to accept. So that is in verse 21. I'll show you again. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised. So in every situation you can possibly think of, Jesus is our greatest model to look to because he's perfect. Being God, Jesus already knows everything about everything, and there's no situation in life he doesn't understand. But being a man, Jesus personally experienced the same struggles that we face, including following God, which is a huge struggle for Christians. So Jesus following God the Father, or Yahweh, so that's, when I say Yahweh, I'm talking about God the Father. He teaches us that accepting Yahweh's will requires our own sacrifice. Even though Jesus knew following Yahweh's will would require his own death, Jesus submitted his own will and desires to accept Yahweh's will. So, Jesus, when we think of Jesus, we think of God, because he's part of the Trinity, and that's normally what we would think of first. But a lot of the time, we don't think of Jesus as a man. And if you are a non-believer, you may think of Jesus as a man, and like first and foremost. But most of us Christians will just think of Jesus as God. So we have to realize that since he was a man, he experienced everything that we experience. He experienced the temptations, the doubt, the fear, and all the sin. He had the opportunity to do everything that we do. And sometimes we just realize that, oh, maybe he was God, so he could just change a situation because he can do anything. But because he was a man, he had to experience everything that we experience. So that makes him more relatable and not just like God's up here and we're down here. But we were on the same level as God when he was in the form of Jesus. So I personally have been going through struggles with my stomach. It's like I haven't been able to digest food, and I've been going to doctors for a whole year and specialists, and no one wants to be with that many doctors for a whole year, not even through my whole life. So that's been real fun, let me tell you. So I've just been going through struggles with that, and it just has brought so many things on me that it just has such an effect on my mind and my body. And one of the main things is that initially through all of it, I was doubting. I was doubting God because I was like, if you love me so much, why would you do this? Why do I have to go through all of these stomach issues? Why can't I just eat? Why am I losing 22 pounds in a matter of a month? Because I just want to eat. Like Church says, why am I hungry? I'm always hungry. And I would just doubt, like, is God really there for me? Am I just praying and my prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, and are they going anywhere? Is anyone hearing me? Or am I just praying to nothing? And that made me think that Jesus had the ultimate struggle. He had to go die on the cross for everyone. Like, the weight of the world was on his shoulders. So there's no doubt in the world that Jesus doubted. He may have doubted, like, God, are you there? Is this the plan that I have to go through with? Like, because no one would want to go risk their life and go die on the cross. So he must have had such immense doubt in him that, is this the plan that God has for me? Am I supposed to fulfill all this? And also through my ongoing stomach issues, I've been really angry at God, like, why does this have to happen? Like, I could have just lived my life completely fine, like, I don't need this. And I've been angry at God, like, why would you do this to me? Why me? And of course, Jesus must have thought that. He's a man. Every person has experienced anger. Like, raise your hand if you've not experienced anger. Yeah, okay. So, we have all experienced anger. God knows that we are all human. Jesus was a human. He experienced that anger. Knowing that he had to die on the cross one day for everyone's sin, he must have been pretty angry. Like, why do I have to do it? Like, why do you choose me? Why can't you just say, everyone's forgiven? Like, why do I have to die and, like, my life on the line? So, in that, you can, like, relate to Jesus, because you could feel his anger and doubt, and also, he'd be frustrated. Like, I've been frustrated through this whole thing. I just want to be able to eat, and my stomach to digest things, and not have to go see all these doctors and drive to all these hospitals. And God, as Jesus, he must have been so frustrated. Like, he can't change the situation. He knew this was the only way out for everyone in the world. And that would also make him feel so, like, just imagine, you're the only person who can do this one thing. You're going to feel pretty, like, sad and alone, and you have no one to turn to. So how do you think Jesus felt when he was the only person to die on that cross for everyone in the world? If he had chosen not to, he would have just sent everyone to hell. Like, do your own thing, I'm going to go up to heaven, I'm good, you guys, good luck. Like, so he must have been so sad and alone. Can you just imagine all of these emotions going through? So we have to really think of Jesus as a man and not just as the God figure that he is. So if he had chosen not to go die on the cross, ultimately, all humans, we would be going to hell. Like, we would have no chance to be with God. But that's something that it's kind of hard to wrap our minds around, and that's exactly what the disciples felt. Like, oh, Jesus, you don't have to do this. Like, you're God, you can just, like, let everyone be saved and go to heaven with you. And so that brings us to point 2. So Jesus' disciples didn't immediately understand. And that's seen when Peter rebukes Jesus, and he says, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you." But he turned to Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan. You're a hindrance to me. For you're not setting your minds on the things of God, but on the things of man." So even though Jesus' disciples had been with him for close to 3 years at this point, they still didn't fully understand what it meant to accept him, or what it meant to accept Yahweh's will. Jesus' disciples, especially Peter, often hindered Jesus from the ministry Yahweh had for him. And Jesus refers to Peter as Satan in the passage because he's speaking out against Yahweh's will, and that's sinful, and he was basically only looking out for the interests of the disciples. And the disciples were too self-focused to be able to see the plan Jesus had for their lives. So as Peter was telling Jesus, like, oh, you don't have to go through with it, like, you don't have to go die on the cross, don't, like, do that to yourself, he is holding him back from what Yahweh, God the Father, has called him to do. And we all have friends like that. Like, all of our friends aren't leading totally love this, but they're supportive and they're like, okay, I guess I understand, like, you can do your thing at church. I guess that's cool. But really, when I'll hang out with them, they'll be like, oh, you want to go to a party? And I'll be like, okay. Like, pool party, okay. They're like, oh, we'll be drinking drugs. I'm like, no. And these friends are drawing me so far away from God if I accept what they're offering me. And that's how Jesus would have been if he accepted the offer from Peter. Like, oh, Jesus, you don't have to go die. Like, don't do it. Like, just stay here with us, you're fine. Don't go die on a cross for everyone. And they're just thinking really about themselves, because that's their best friend. Like, would you want your best friend to go sign up to go die? Like, no one would want that. But if you knew that they had to die for the sins of the world, you have to have in mind the plan that God has and kind of put away your selfish desires of, well, we want to have our best friend still here with us. And, I mean, the will of God isn't that important because then he has to die. So how good can that be? So if God had gone down, or Jesus had gone down that path, he would have been so far away from what God has called us, and we'd all have no future. We'd never go to heaven, we'd go straight to hell after we die. And our Christian friends can also have the same effect on us sometimes. So if, like Shane's used to have friends that, or still has friends, they support him, they're Christian friends, they support him, but sometimes they're like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you in the children's ministry for so long? Like, why are you being with the youth? Like, they all have boogers and gross. And so they're like, why do you choose to stay with them? And this is what God has called Shane to do. So if he was like, oh, you're right, they kind of smell, so I'll just leave. I'll become a pastor for some other church. And what if that's not what God has called Shane to do? He's called us to be with all of us and to teach us every single week. So both our non-believer friends and our Christian friends can have the same effect of like drawing us away from God and towards the things that we shouldn't be drawn towards. So you have to be really aware of who you're surrounding yourself with and what effect they're having on you. Because it's not all the time that you have to say, oh, you're drawing me away from God, you're out of my life forever. You can still have friends that are non-believers, but you have to keep some distance from those people and be aware of what they're doing to your life and where your life is going in terms of your faith by being kind of a friend. Alright, so point 3 is accepting Jesus is dying to ourselves. And that's seen in 24 and 25. Then Jesus told his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. So Jesus died to his own will, his own desires, his own wants, and even his own perceived needs. And he did all of this for the purpose of accepting Yahweh's will, and also to model what it means to accept him. Accepting Jesus is not just saying a prayer, believing in God, or wanting commitment. Accepting Jesus is saying, whatever the cost, I will follow you. So Jesus commands us to take up our cross and follow him, which proves dying to ourselves is necessary, accepting and following Jesus. Jesus even teaches us that losing our lives for his sake is the key to finding life. While this sometimes does mean losing our physical life, the bigger truth is that following Jesus requires a daily sacrifice of our will, our desires, and our wants, and even our needs. Accepting Jesus is a one-time eternal choice, a daily commitment, and sometimes even a minute-by-minute decision. So, it's kind of hard to understand like God's will. What is God's will for my life? God has called us as Christians to do hard things. We're not always going to be accepted by everyone. We might even get teased or bullied because we're Christians. But in the Bible, it says going to be persecuted. And we have to expect that in a way. And we have to be prepared to face up to that persecution. And we have to understand, has anyone been bullied at school? Yeah, so I've also been bullied at school. And that's so hard. There's so many things that come with that, and you just feel so, helpless, and you feel, am I worth anything? And you start to believe what that belief is saying. But we have to realize that what was Jesus, what was done to Jesus on the cross? He was ridiculed, he was spit on, he was put up on the cross because people hated him. And we have to understand that our struggles here on earth can't compare to what Jesus has done for us. And in the end, we'll be with Jesus in heaven. And none of the things that happen down here will matter. But we have to focus on the will that God has for our lives. And you can't be pushed away from God just because you're persecuted. But you have to strengthen your faith through that. And so we have to realize that not everyone is going to like us. Not everyone is going to, oh, you know Jesus? I'm probably going to love you. We have to realize that everyone is going to be kind of skeptical of us at first. Because ultimately when Jesus was put on the cross, people hated him. That's why he was up there. And we kind of have to have the mindset that where we're going to end up in the end is far greater than what is happening to us here.
Wow.